off and follow orders. This is the FBI. We have a warrant for...
They handcuffed me and my wife out here. They wanted me to sit on the curb while they were carrying this out, something that I refused to do. They wanted my wife to sit on the curb out here, that she refused to do.
As I was coming out, this big old drone met me.
The only revolutionary organization that's done something here on the ground practically for African people is the one that's come under attack. Institution that offers a community radio station, a newspaper, a commercial kitchen, an Aquaba Hall rental space, and community office for our organizers. That was the building that has come under attack.
Need a breach? What do you need?
Need one.
I don't know.
Let's hold that with money.
Hold
Thank you.
We will build a movement of white people that says hands off the Uhuru movement.
They see in the African People's Socialist Party a vanguard for the struggle for the liberation of our people. They see that because not just what we do here in the United States, but because we had the temerity to do like Garvey, to do like Malcolm X, and take the struggle of black people around the world.
We should all be furious. We should all be afraid of this. And you know, they often will do this. They'll arrest someone. It's kind of like a test balloon. They'll arrest the FBI. They SWAT style raided his house, despite the fact they never asked him to come in. Which, if you don't want to have to do a SWAT style raid that can end with people getting killed because you have guys with guns running in and smashing windows and people get scared and shit goes down. Rather than asking him to come in, they did that. They threw flashbang grenades. They wanted to make a show of it. And they're claiming that he has, quote, weaponized free speech for basically speaking out against the U.S. empire. So I just want to play, it's about a 2-minute clip of him during his press conference, because it's so important we get out the message of those who will be political prisoners in the United States. And it's just very important that we hear from this and we give a shit. It doesn't matter whether this is a national news story or not. If we're going to talk about Trump and his trials endlessly, then we can talk about this, which is egregious and disgusting and shows the level our FBI and our government will go to shut up freedom of speech that goes against the U.S. empire, that goes against endless war, that goes against endless exploitation and extraction around the world. So here he is, Chairman Omali Yeshitela.
And beaten with clubs and got to...
Sorry, I should say, he's talking about his past arrests. He's been arrested many times for free speech. So he started talking about that.
A court, and the cop was exonerated for the fact that despite the fact I was handcuffed, He said that when taking me to the police, to jail, I leaned out of the window and was saying something to somebody outside the window, and so for my own protection, they beat me. They clubbed me almost unrecognizably, and then I went to jail for that. I have been shot at by assassins for what I do. I have been shot at. My house has been firebombed. And in Oakland, California, shot at in San Francisco, California. And so my basic point is that every confrontation that I've had with the state in my life, with the exception of the mural, has been around free speech. And this is no different. It's a free speech question. I believe in free speech. And I learned about free speech in the United States. I was a relatively good student as a young person. They taught free speech. They taught that these are the basic principles enshrined in this country. And I believe in free speech. If I didn't believe in free speech, I would never have said anything, because they kill Black people for talking in this country. They kill Black people for whistling in this country. They kill Emmett Till for the accusation that he whistled at somebody. Free speech, free speech, free speech. And free speech has to be afforded to Black people. If it's not afforded to us, then there can be no free speech for anybody. And this is something that everybody should understand, because the assault on free speech, the assault on basic democratic principles, is one that's always made against someone or some group that is assumed to be unpopular. This is the way they open the door to an assault on the right of anybody to speak, because there's an assumption that this is unpopular speech. Yes, I believe that African people should be free. Yes, I believe that Africa should be free. Yes, I believe that this country was founded on the genocide of the indigenous people and the free stolen labor of Black people. Yes, and I'm going to say that, but I should have a right to say it. I was taught that when I went to school, and I believed it when I went to school. And if I am guilty of anything, it is in believing in the principles that was taught to me all my life when I was in school. If I'm guilty of anything, that's what I'm guilty of. And so, Counselor.
All right, there you go. Important words from Chairman Omali Yeshitela at the press conference today that, of course, was not covered by any mainstream media, of course, was not discussed on your mainstream media, of course, can't be even mentioned on your mainstream media.
Uhuru, Uhuru, everyone, Uhuru comrades, Uhuru friends, Uhuru to the world, Uhuru to everybody who is fighting for freedom, freedom of speech, the right to be able to say and do what is necessary to fight for our freedom and our liberation. And I want to appreciate everybody for coming here today. Today is May 13th, and we are here to continue the counteroffensive of the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign. And as we say, a counteroffensive against the slanderous attacks on the African People's Socialist Party, on the Uhuru movement, and on the right to freedom of speech. My name is Mwezi Odom, and I am the chairperson of this campaign. I have the honor of serving as the chairperson of this campaign, and I have the honor of being here with all of you because, as we understand, we are here today to make a clear demand to drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. In today's meeting, you will have an opportunity to hear updates. You will hear from some of our supporters. We are going to make a call for donations because as we have been saying all along since day one, we have to fight this battle in the streets, which is why you are here, and in the courtroom, which is also why you are here, because we understand that this is a political attack and that this government will use its law in any way to crush this movement and to crush the right for our freedom of speech and the respect to our privacy for everybody. So I want to appreciate y'all for being here today. And on today, There's going to be a slide that's going to pop up very soon here, and I'm going to be calling on everybody to do many things. So we can go to the next slide and even the next slide, because what I'm going to ask everybody to do, if you have not already, is to share right now. We opened up this piece by, showing you the video of what happened on July 29th, but also, showing a piece in the media. It is so important that we get this out there to the world. We want everybody, every square inch. Again, we don't have to agree on everything, but if you agree on the basic demand for free speech, this needs to be out there and in the world. So thank you so much for those of you who have already shared. And if you have shared, please put that in the chat. Let us know that you have shared. tinyurl.com/hands-off meeting with at least one person. So thank you so much. Uhuru comrades. So again, I've been saying thank you, and I'm going to continue to thank everybody for your support. We would not be here in this period with the amount of ammunition that we need to be able to wage this fight back if it weren't for the people. So I cannot go any further without thanking the people. And next, I have to salute the reason why we are all here today. To salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Chairman of the African People's Socialist Party and leader in this lifetime for the liberation and the self-determination of Africa and African people. As African people, we understand that the fight that, and as freedom-loving people, we understand that the fight that Chairman Omali Yeshitela is fighting is for Africa, which will ultimately be for all of us to be able to have a world where nobody has to live under any type of oppression. So I want to salute the chairman for his over 60 years of struggle, and because we are at a place now where the US government has indicted. It has made it clear that they have indicted the right to free speech. And as we say, we are looking forward to our day in court. But right now, I want to remind everybody that this is an opportunity for us to donate, because we are going to give you some updates on how much we have to raise. But if you have not gone already, go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate, because as we have said, we're going to have to fight this in the court, and we're going to fight. And there is no amount of money that you can put on the right to fight for freedom of speech. So Uhuru, thank you those who have shared. Right on, comrades. I see you in the chat. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Sayero. Thank you, Anne. Uhuru comrades. All right. So for those of you who are just joining us, maybe for the first time, welcome. And we want to just give you a quick, very up to speed update. And everyone else here, you have heard this, but we need to remember to keep this in us so we can continue to tell the world what has happened. On July 29th, these vicious raids that you saw in that video were an example of what the US government did to attack and bogusly indict with these bogus allegations members of the movement. 4 members were named as unindicted co-conspirators. And this was just an attack that pounces on many other attacks that we're going to kind of run you through really quick. In 2015, part of this counteroffensive, we are learning, that in 2015, the chairman was added to a Ukrainian hit list, a hit list where many people who have been on this hit list have been assassinated. And we want to make that clear that this is a political assassination and an assassination on the life of the chairman. Next slide. So here you can find this on online. I'm not going to read everything that's on the screen, but this is part of the information that was on this on this hit list. And then we have experienced a series of attacks that happened even prior to the attacks on July 29th. On July 2nd, when a suspect, with the flamethrower torched the flag outside of the Uhuru House in St. Petersburg, Florida. In September, a petition that we had, circulating on change.org was completely removed with over 100,000 signatures on this petition. In October, members of our movement were arrested. For other bogus allegations, which were completely false and released because they didn't want to give information. In December, this is when we learned of the threats of indictments, and many of you showed up and joined this campaign and have still been with us since that moment, knowing that we had to push because we were expecting indictments in early 2023, and here we are. In January, a church that the Black Power Blueprint, which is one of the institutions of the party that has come under attack, was torched in an inferno of flames. And in February, one of our radio stations, or one of the radio stations under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, Black Power 96, was not only taken off the air during the attacks, but in February, a grant that was supposed to give lots of resources to help our station manager for this station Black Power 96, who was 100% blind, was revoked by the Pinellas County in St. Petersburg, Florida. And in March, many of you remember that there were domestic economic sanctions that continued to attack the self-determination programs under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. And we waged an attack on Regions Bank, who was leading this attack, working with the FBI to crush the programs under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. GoFundMe, who withheld money for over 3 months, Stripe and Facebook, removing and making it difficult for people to give donations, and removing the whole birthday fundraiser aspect altogether. So we waged the fight back in March 2023. And by we, I mean us, the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign. I want to show that this campaign is going to fight back on every front that we need to in order to wage this serious, ability to crush the powers that are trying to suppress the voices of the people. So I'm going to just take a few moments to go through some of the pictures of the Black Power Blueprint, but also to give this some historical context. So as you can see here, these are some of the programs that have come under attack through these economic sanctions and through these indictments. The Black Power Blueprint in St. Louis, you can see the garden and the community mural there. Here we have the beautiful basketball court that was built just months prior to these vicious attacks. We have programs that we are defending. A part of this Hands Off Uhuru, defending the right for African people to have programs like the African Doula Project and Uhuru Wakulea, which means freedom to nurture health center. They want to attack our freedom to nurture. We have to say it like this. We have to understand this. So these are some of the things that have come under attack. You also see the housing that the African People's Education and Defense Fund, the baddest nonprofit on the planet, as they say, was attacked for this building here, this beautiful fourplex that they have renovated for African people that are coming out of the colonial prisons, so that they have a place to stay and to live, and can start getting job training in the culinary arts skills. So these are some of the things that have come under attack. And in April, on April 18th, many of you learned about the indictments that came down on the movement. So I want to say that that's why we are here. And many of you who are keeping up to date now know that the Uhuru 3, which is Chairman Amalia Shatella, Penny Hess, and Chair Jesse Neville, all of these comrades who were indicted on April 18th are now released on bond. And we have to say this, that this is right now in this period, the fight back that we have to continue to keep in the mix and, leading this, struggle for freedom. These are comrades who we want to salute, and we want to continue to defend your right to, your right and your day in court. So I want to just talk quickly about the bogus charges. You can see them here on the speech. We understand that this is something that you will also be hearing from our lawyers today, which I didn't mention. So one of them you will hear from more, but the indictment basically charges the defendants with conspiring to act as an agent of a foreign government, i.e. Russia, right? Quote unquote. So there's information there for those who have questions, but you are going, and you can find this information online. It is out there, but we wanted to give everybody an update on what is being, put out as the charges. So we're asking you to join this counteroffensive, because again, this is an attack on the right to freedom of speech. And we have to understand that when the US government indicts free speech, this is nothing new, and that we have seen this in the Black Revolution of the 1960s, which forced the US Congress to create all of these, the alphabet soup that is, called, that we know today, like the CIA, the FBI, the IRS, the NSA, all of these organizations, had to, build themselves in order to defend this revolution of the 1960s, where everyone around the world who was struggling for freedom was struggling against colonialism. We understand that the FBI that was formed in 1908, in its early years, the FBI was used as a counterinsurgency force against the Mexican Revolution and the Bolshevik Revolution. We understand that in 1919, the FBI was used against Marcus Garvey, who led a movement of 11 million African people around the world, claiming Africa for Africans at home and abroad. So this was a threat, as we can see. And here we are today, understanding that the main target of this attack of the Uhuru Three is Chairman Omali Yeshitela. We have learned that Omali Yeshitela has been, since he has, throughout his whole political activity and life, has given us the key understandings on the colonial mode of production. For us to understand that everything produced for the colonizer or the oppressor nations comes at the expense of the colonized or the oppressed nations. And this is something that we can see very dialectically. And Omali Yeshitela has created an institution and a program, the African People's Socialist Party, to resolve this dialectic that exists. And this is a threat, because what this essentially is doing is negating the ability for the colonizer to continue to oppress upon the oppressed people. So we have to see this, that Omali Yeshitela is the main target. And we understand that this has been a target against the struggle of freedom for years. We have Bobby Seale, right? Because what they're trying to do, I wanted to show this because essentially what they want to do is they want to gag the, chairman. Bobby Seale, who was the co-founder of the Black Panther Party in 1969, was bound and gagged in court, and was held in contempt, right, for speaking out and trying, in his attempt to represent himself. African people's voices have always been silenced. This is nothing new. What is happening right now, though we see it politically, we have to see this as a continuation of historical attacks. Also, we can look at Emmett Till, right, who was abducted, tortured, and lynched at 14 for whistling, for freedom of speech, right? These are the things that we have to understand, everyone. Lynchings that were used to terrorize and control Black people was another way to, like the steel masks, on our face, it has the ability to, tell African people that we're going to be punished for being uppity or for talking back or, just for being. And so this history is something that we have to keep, a reminder of, because it has always been a tainted history.
5 minutes.
Thank you, comrade. Malcolm X at the Oxford debate in 1964, we found that a year later, what happened? He was assassinated. Again, the colonial state attack on these anti-colonial struggles for freedom and for democracy. So we have to see Malcolm X as a part of this as well. The next slide is just, the chairman also spoke at Oxford as well in 2019. And we can see here a photo of the chairman for us to understand that what they're trying to do right now is to gag the chairman, right? They want to not only wage this political attack, but this is a legal lynching as well. So again, these struggles on freedom and democracy, comrades, we must take up, because we understand that this thing that we understand as colonialism can't just be summed up as quote unquote the original sin with an apology like Joe Biden has done, right? Here we go. In December 2022, when we learn news of indictments coming down, Joe Biden apologizes to, African leaders for the unimaginable cruelty of America's original sin, right, which was slavery, during that period, saying that this was his nation's sin during that period. We have to understand that when he made a complete mockery of an apology, and that what we say to that is reparations now. So Black people are still being punished for being uppity, for talking back, for speaking the truth, right? And it has nothing to do with, just this original sin. So there's no difference. That's what's happening then, now that's going to happen in this courtroom. So we need to continue to fight back. And Joe Biden, we're coming for you too. So comrades, we are not retreating. We are building. And we say that because here you are as part of the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign. So join the counteroffensive. Those of you who have joined, you have united with the basic principles of unity. You can find those on our website. Also, to see that we have been all around the world, and we will continue to grow from South Africa to London to Washington, D.C. to the Caribbean, in Jamaica and in the Bahamas. And many of you who saw us in D.C. know that we will continue to ask you to do these simple things. Sign the petition, hold the fundraiser, do what you can to stay involved. Sign up for the emergency response pledge. If you have not done that already, go to the website, click the emergency response tab, and give us your information so you can learn how to stay up to date via text message. Sign up for our emails. So comrades, one of the things that is important, again, if you have not done, before I stop talking, is to donate. If you have not donated already, please go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. And I want to appreciate those who have been donating as well. And we look forward to giving you an update. So again, comrades, share, share, share. all that you can right now with the world. These donations are going to be so important. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out before we start to move into our next section of just appreciation. We want to appreciate those who have been, like I said, covered this campaign in the news, especially covering since the indictments. We're going to continue to thank everybody, but I want to appreciate also Kim Iverson. You can find that interview on her Rumble channel. Lee Camp, which you saw earlier, Wilmer Leon, Margaret Kimberly. We want to appreciate you too as well. Tag 24, Tara Reid, who was on Twitter, putting it out there as well. The and Anarchist Nikki, which had a great article, and so many other statements that are out there. Articles, and we want to continue to appreciate everybody for keeping this in the news. This is the people's news, so we're going to keep it in front of the faces of the people. So comrades, I'm going to just before we just move on to kind of move forward, we want you to know that without your donations, we would not be so close to our benchmark goal. So I have to thank everybody for your donations. This is a photo outside of DC. We want to appreciate those comrades who were there. And on the next slide is a lot of names, and I will not name them all, but I want to acknowledge the donors who donated since our last meeting that we had on April 22nd, where we had donations from $5 to $500, and every little bit counts, and we do not mean that lightly. So we want to thank the over 170 some donors that came in just during that period, and we know we can triple and double that number. So I just want to say that as well, because with your support, we have raised $219,806 towards our benchmark goal of $277,500. This is in donations, this is in pledges. This amount is going to get us the support that our legal team will need in order to wage this fight back. So we are 79%, basically 80% away from our goal. And today we have a goal of raising a minimum of $5,000. And I know we can do it. And we're going to tell you all the reasons why I know we can do it. But one is because we've done it before, and two, because we're going to use our ability to pledge and to donate and to get this out there. And so I want to appreciate everybody, because we know what this means when we see that goal, that we're going to meet that goal on today. So thank you so much, comrades, because as we said, if you have not gone already, go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Thank you to those who have donated. Keep getting the word out there, because we have to put the state on trial in this counteroffensive. They want to lock the chairman up for his illegal activity of fighting for freedom, and we're going to show them, well, we're going to make them pay, and we're going to demand everything that the people need. So thank you, comrades, for that. I want to appreciate everybody for staying with me during that opening. We're going to move our program, and right now we're going to get a chance to hear from we're going to go ahead and get some statements of support, because we have a great program for you today. And I just want to appreciate everybody who is on with us on today. We have, here we go. All right, so, and I'm going to start, when I call your name up, feel free to just open your camera as I introduce you, but we're going to also show some videos as well. So in this section, we're going to just take a quick moment to hear from some of our supporters who have been here supporting the fight back from afar and since day one, and who will continue to. So we're going to watch a few videos that are lumped into this, but I want to appreciate Heinrich Booker for your statement. I want to appreciate Betty and Ralph. I want to also appreciate Comrade Sheila, Caleb, John, Chrisley, and Jesse, and Mark, who you will hear from soon. And I'll say a little bit more in a moment. So if that video is queued up, we're going to go ahead and step into our parts. Here we go. Thank you, comrade.
My name is Heinrich Booker from Berlin in Germany, and I would like to express solidarity with your cause. The Uhuru movement is a worldwide organization under the leadership of African People's Socialist Party. You are actively uniting African people as one people. Since 1972, and that is for more than 50 years, the organization has been criticizing the oppression of African people everywhere, as well as being a fierce opponent of US wars of aggression. Recently, you also have opposed US political and financial support for the regime in Ukraine in its current conflict with Russia. The Uhuru movement's chairman Yeshitela was one of the speakers at the national protest against US support for Ukraine held March 18 in Washington, D.C. Your organization has initiated the African American Anti-War Coalition that is part of the United National Anti-War Coalition, one of the major organizers of the protest. Recently, the African People's Socialist Party chairman, Omali Yeshitela, and African People's Solidarity Committee chairwoman, Penny Hess, appeared in court in Tampa, Florida, in response to an indictment issued by the U.S. Department of Justice. Both of you were handcuffed and held in a cell for hours before appearing before a judge, who then released you on a conditional bond that included a requirement to hand over your passports. Here from Berlin in Germany, we express our solidarity with your movement and other members of your group. Arguments released by the US Department of Justice against you accuse you of spreading pro-Russian propaganda. We believe this argument is meant to intimidate those who dare to speak up and question the official narrative about the war in Ukraine. Here in Berlin, we have been supporting the anti-fascist people of Ukraine. Germany, the US, and their NATO allies have supported the anti-Russian coup in Kiev, Ukraine, in February of 2014. NATO has since 1990 steadily expanded to the very borders of Russia, thereby breaking all promises not to expand even 1 inch to the east. NATO members and the West have ignored Russia's legitimate security concerns and Russia's repeated calls to stay away from Russia's border. We just commemorated the events of May 2, 2014, the so-called Massacre of Odessa. On that day in May 2014, fascist forces attacked and killed dozens of people in the House of Unions in Odessa, only weeks after the violent right-wing coup d'etat in Kiev in February of 2014. German politics has turned violently Russophobic, which we need to stand up together in international solidarity. Therefore, we support your cause. My name is Heinrich Bücker, owner of the Co-op Anti-War Café. I'm also an active member in a solidarity group for a multipolar world, Frente Unido America Latina Berlin. Since 4 years, we hold regular events on Saturdays at the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin in front of the US Embassy.
I'm muted. All right. I just want to appreciate that statement, that really powerful statement from Heinrich Bücker, who I also wanted to mention is also under indictments for his political stance as well. And so just want to really salute that support statement. And I want to, very excited to also invite up next Ralph and Betty Davis with the New Abolitionist Movement and the Lynn Stewart Committee. And also you can find them on What's Happening Blog Talk Radio. I want to thank you, comrades, for staying on with us as well. And if you are there, I see you coming up. And if others, after you speak, please feel free to stay on camera so we can, stay with you during this segment. But I see our sister Betty there, and I want to appreciate you, comrade, for being here. It's always great to see you. Uhuru.
Oh, Uhuru, I'm very pleased to join me, as they used to say back in the day of science fiction, the Fellowship of the Ring. You know your science fiction. One of the famous statements was, what do you do when the overwhelming malice and destruction faces you? Well, you ride out to meet it. And I am particularly recalling one of the phrases of one of the first African captives in this country to use the term Black Power. And I'm referring to Henry Highland Garnett. And he's best known for always saying, let resistance be your motto. I want to repeat that. Let resistance be your motto. Now, what are we referring to when we talk about resistance? We are referring to the fact that every living creature has the right to self-determination and self-preservation. And when you recall the latest incident of lynching in this country in New York City, and I'm referring to the young Michael Jackson impersonator, Brother Neely. I mean, all he did was say, I am hungry, I am sick, I am houseless, and I'm angry about that. And the next thing we know, he was put in a chokehold and he was held down until he died by two others, in addition to a Marine. The whole scenario that played out, the lack of solidarity from the African-American mayor, the lack of information from the press. We find out days later that this young man's father was a member of the police army of occupation. And so why should he be held? Because we know the army of occupation has no accountability for African lives in this country. So my point, and the reason I am here today, is to say to you and to say to the FBI, come on now. I don't need the Russians to tell me I have a problem when I can't even ride a subway without being reminded that my life has no value here. However, if I wanted to go into more details with regard to the contributions of the African People's Socialist Party, I would ask you to do your homework. Do research on the Black Power Blueprint. Understand the institutions that they are developing in a place like St. Louis, where there is a history of genocide. Now, why am I using the term genocide? The infant mortality rate in that particular geographic location in this particular country is so horrendous that if the infants who died had lived, it would have been enough to fill 15 kindergarten classes each year. Now, do I really need a Russian to tell me that there is something wrong with this picture? Where I live in New York City, they are trying to do away with federally funded housing. It should ring a bell with you, because one of the reasons this poor impersonator and talented, gifted artist was houseless is because of the policy of the Democratic Party and the political controllers in New York City. He was on the subway performing for food, and he had no place to be. He had no place to lay his head, literally. Do I need a Russian to tell me there's something wrong with this picture? The young man is dead because he had no place to be. And all of us are going to be in this boat. I don't need a Russian to tell me that. And I resent the fact that African Americans are not allowed the privilege of talking about their captivity in a language that will bring about results. One of the results of listening to the African People's Socialist Party is that they have a philosophy that talks about colonialism. If you look at what colonialism really stands for, and we have been told this by many of our political warriors in this country. Can you spell Malcolm X? Can you spell Henry Highland Garnett? Can you spell Martin Luther King? Can you spell Queen Mother Moore? They all talk about your right to community control where you live. In New York City, the New York City public education budget is the 23rd largest budget in the world. Africans and people of color who are brown and beige are more than 76% of this population in New York, but we do not control the contracts in the New York City Board of Ed. That is colonialism. We have no control over the army of occupation. That is why artists can be killed on the subway trying to raise money for food to eat. We do not control the hospitals in New York City. Just look at the statistics on COVID deaths in Black and brown communities in New York City. That is called colonialism. Everybody has the right to resist colonialism, because colonialism in a capitalist society is the sign of eventual death and genocide. Now, I'm going to close with this. I am not an anthropologist, but when I look around for all the warrior nations that were here when the Europeans first touched this continent, I can't find most of them. But if you go to Russia, where they have never had African slaves, it's interesting. You can still find people of the horse. We had loads of nations who called themselves people of the horse. Where the hell are they now? But if you go to Russia, you will find a whole group of people who are people of the horse, and they're still riding their horses. I don't need a Russian to explain to me what that means. So I'm hoping that you will join me. I'm hoping that you will be like the African women warriors on this continent. And one of them said, even if you can't fight back like Harriet Tubman, you can at least trouble the waters. So let's unite. Let resistance be your motto. Let's trouble the waters. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Wow. Wow. Uhuru, Sister Betty, always bringing that fire and the political education. And you took so many words right out of the chairman's mouth and and the mouth of understanding, the system that we are in, the system of colonialism. And I want to just appreciate what you said about, riding out to meet it. We as the people understand where we need to run to. We need to get behind, and get in the fire. So I just want to appreciate that quote that you threw out, which I totally butchered. But I do want to appreciate you also bringing up Jordan Neely, because that is something that we have to continue to see, as the as the oppression that our people are facing. And I just want to say, Comrade Sister Betty, that from your statement and from where we are right now, and from, I want to give a quick fundraising goal before we continue, because we have raised a total, we are at a $1,000 donation or pledge from Unión del Barrio. Wow, which I really want to appreciate our comrades from Unión del Barrio. That's a really profound statement to really get us going. And, really want to salute the comrades of Unión who have had an over 40-year fraternal bond with the African People's Socialist Party. Their leader, Ernesto Bustillos, may he continue to rest in power. Chairman Amalia Shatella go back a very long time. And this is the understanding of fighting for liberation for African and all oppressed peoples. And on this land, Anawa, that we are on, we want to continue to honor you, comrades. So thank you so much for that pledge. And that actually, I want to give a quick total. We are at $1,552 raised. So comrades, that takes us to only needing $3,448 to go in this webinar. This is the kind of statement that we're going to make. So I want to just appreciate those who have got us over to over a hump in our fundraising goal for today. Next, I want to invite up Comrade Sheila Hamanaka. Sheila, if you are on, I want to appreciate you for being here with Pacifica and the Fight Back. We want to appreciate you, Comrade Sheila Hamanaka, and welcome you to our program. And I just want to say before we hear from you, appreciate Sister Betty, who continues to let me know who out there is doing what. And she was really important to tell me that right after the news went out, you forwarded her email about the attacks on the party on July 29th and got that out to a huge base of people. And we can't thank you enough for helping to be part of the first, part of our fight back. So Uhuru, Sheila, welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. I would, my hat goes off to Betty Davis and Ralph Pointer, amazing leaders, very amazing talk that you just heard. And if you want to hear more, tune into their show on WBAI called What's Happening, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm a listener of WBAI. Like many New Yorkers, that's how I got my political education. Hundreds of thousands of people in New York City were educated by radio, WBAI, because it was a non-commercial radio station. And because Black activists got involved in the radio station. Now, there's a huge struggle in Pacifica going on. I mean, I studied anti-racism with the People's Institute, and one of their principles was that any group not led by people of color will inevitably benefit white people. So that's one of the first things I noticed about the African People's Socialist Party and the Solidarity Movement and the Uhuru movement, which is that, wow, this is a surprise. White people are actually willing to take leadership from Black people. That's unusual in the United States. And I don't know if it's non-existent, but it's hard to find in Pacifica. But we have Pacifica producers. We have 5 stations across the country, and we're in a struggle for existence because, internet, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things we have to fight hard for is to bring these anti-colonial, anti-racist messages, anti-imperialist messages to the air, the kind that you just heard from Betty. And I noticed there are close to 80 people on this webinar. I've tried to organize webinars in the past, and it's hard to get 80 people in one place. There's so many thousands of webinars going on. But if you have anything to do with radio or media, please get in contact with me or Betty and help us form like a group, a committee inside Pacifica, because we need to coordinate this programming. We can't just do it one at a time here and there, kind of haphazard, but people need to get together and learn from each other and wage a political struggle within Pacifica to get more of this stuff on the air. Now, we have elections coming up, and we're all giving money to Hands Off Uhuru, but I urge everyone out there, especially the younger people, to run for the local station boards of Pacifica so that we can ultimately gain control of this huge network that has a potential audience of 20 or 30 or 40 million people across the United States. We need to reach out. We need to build media that is people's media. And I'm so impressed with the African People's Socialist Party that you have both a newspaper and a radio station. And it's a model because it's existing. Pacifica sometimes is about to go down the tubes, but Black Power Radio is there and it's supported by the community. That's what we need, community supported radio. So, this year we lost, this past year we lost a couple of great comrades, Fernando Velasquez and Lawrence Reyes at KPFK. I speak in their honor. And we need to reach out. We need to have Spanish language programming, especially in Texas and Los Angeles. We need to reach those communities. People are being treated like crap. And I know, my parents were in a concentration camp in World War II. And those cases went to court, 4 people went to the Supreme Court and they lost. They lost, even though the government apologized, and the decisions of these 4 cases were reversed in lower courts. They were never reversed in the Supreme Court. So only the Supreme Court can reverse its own decisions. So those laws that enabled the US government to put an entire section of the US country under military rule, and then round up 120,000 people, 2/3 of whom were citizens, that is still on the books. And this is what we're seeing now with the Uhuru movement, is just the tip of the spear. And we really have to mobilize everybody in the defense of the Uhuru 3. So thank you very much for the privilege of speaking.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Sheila, for that statement. And I just want to appreciate you and, for, again, letting the people know about just the importance of the fight for speech, and to be able to put out our own words, and for mentioning the Black Power and for mentioning the Burning Spear newspaper that has been in print for over 53 years, and for also mentioning the Black Power 96 radio station again, because again, we have to understand how and why we're being attacked, because as we said, we are building institutions that are negating what we already see under the system, which is not for the interests of the people. And we already know that. And so we understand we're not fooled by these bogus indictments, and for whatever they're called for, we understand that, this is literally an attack on freedom. It's an attack on freedom, and Uhuru means freedom. For those of you who didn't even know that, Uhuru means freedom. So I just wanted to say that as well. And thank you, Sheila. And I want to just salute Comrade Ben Hameen, who I know is traveling, and whether you will be able to come on or not, Comrade, I just want to appreciate you again, Ben Hameen from Unión del Barrio. So we have a lot of donations that I want to continue to shout out your names. Many are anonymous donations, so I can't thank all of the anonymous donors enough during this period as well. So next, I want to bring up, who I'm very excited to also have here with us today, is Caleb Maupin, who is here with us with the Center for Political Innovation. Thank you for being on, Caleb. We have a video that we're going to watch of your statement, and then we're also going to hear from John McCarthy, who is also with CPI. And John, you can follow up right after we hear from Caleb's statement. So while that video is being queued up, all right, we're in place. Thank you, Comrade Uhuru.
On behalf of the Center for Political Innovation, I wish to extend our full support and unequivocal solidarity to the People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, the African People's Socialist Party, Chairman O'Malley, and all of the individuals facing criminal charges. This indictment from the U.S. Department of Justice is nothing but an attempt to stifle freedom of speech, to suppress political activity, and to persecute those bold enough to question and expose the lies being told to justify sending more weapons to Ukraine and bringing the world closer to the danger of a new world war. And under these circumstances, we call on all forces to offer the same unequivocal support and rally in the defense of those being unfairly, unjustly, and immorally persecuted by the American government.
Hello?
Uhuru, John?
Yes, hi.
Up. Yeah.
Hi. I'm also with CPI. I'm in unity with everything that Caleb has just said. I realize they're not probably watching us live, but I wanted to use my time to challenge the people running against Joe Biden to join with us in demanding that he drop these ridiculous charges. Marianne Williamson, some of the most powerful and beautiful arguments I've ever heard for reparations have been in your speeches. You made it an issue in the last campaign, but then the FBI declares that reparations are some kind of a Russian plot, and all of a sudden you can't find your voice. I guess because now supposedly being against the FBI is right wing, they say, even though the number one purpose of the FBI, its number one goal since it was founded has been to decapitate the fight for Black liberation. You cannot be for reparations and for the FBI at the same time. The two forces are at war, and your speeches are real pretty and everything, but we need you to take a side and join this war and fight on our side. RFK Jr., the same thing. We appreciate the fact that you've spoken out for Julian Assange, but as his brother and his father have pointed out, the Julian Assange case and the Uhuru 3 case are the same fight. They're a fight to defend free speech at a time when we desperately need free speech in order to stop a nuclear war between Russia and the United States, a war that would destroy all life. So if the people who murdered your father and your uncle are using this case, the prosecution of the Uhuru 3, to try to murder free speech. And one of the best ways that you could get revenge on them is to join our fight to make sure that they do not succeed. So, Bobby Jr., Marianne, please, we need you to hold a joint press conference demanding that President Joe Biden drop this ridiculous prosecution. And I'll say this, if he refuses and the Democrats nominate him anyway, there will not be another Democratic president for the rest of this century. I promise. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Uhuru, John. I just want to really appreciate that statement and, a few things that you said that I just want to reiterate and take this time to just kind of let the people know what's happening because, this is our ability to be able to talk to those people who need to know what's happening. So I want to appreciate you for just, pulling people into the fire, as well. And I wanted to also say what you mentioned about, they may not be watching us live. One, I wanted to state where people are tuning in from, but to also make the point that those who they are watching live, we don't see them on the air anymore. And we can remember recently Tucker Carlson or something, Tucker Carlson, I think show was recently canceled after covering this. And so we have to understand that this is not, it's an attack on the right to freedom of speech. So I just, go look that up. There's probably all these reasons for why it was canceled, but we understand why, because it's not that they don't even want this to be out there in the world. This system, this colonial mode of production, which we can see through its face of the FBI and the US government, they don't want people to know what the African People's Socialist Party thinks. They don't want people to know what freedom of thought. This is the thought crimes that we're talking about. So it's very important that you made that call. And I want to appreciate those who are tuning in with us. We have people tuning in from San Diego, California, from Brooklyn, New York. We want to appreciate you for being here. Chicago, through our CPI comrades, and other places throughout Illinois, Tampa, Florida, St. Louis, Missouri, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Inner Grove Heights, Minnesota, Houston, Texas, the United Kingdom, Oakland, California, Battle Creek, Michigan, Manhattan, New York, Ecuador, Miami, Florida, Boston, Massachusetts, San Mateo, San Diego, or California, St. Petersburg, Florida, New York, and Newark, New Jersey. So these are just some. And if you have just came in and you haven't let us know where you're tuning in from, please drop that in the chat. We want to appreciate you for being here with us from all places throughout the globe. So now we're going to, and we invite those who have made statements to stay on. If we can, at the end, we can just take even like a group shot of everybody. I want to appreciate y'all. But I want to invite up now Chris Lee Carpio, who is from the leadership of Freedom Road Socialist Organization. Chris Lee, feel free to drop in a link to your website and all of our speakers for that matter, so that people can see and continue to follow the work that you all are also helping to expose out in the world. So Chris Lee, I want to thank you for being here and for your unity with making a statement on today in making the demand to drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. Uhuru.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and I'm attempting to, sorry, I'm trying to turn on my video, but I can't. Thank you for having me. Here we go. Thanks so much. So we, the Freedom Road Socialist Organization, stand with the Uhuru movement, and we condemn the FBI raids and all the indictments. We view that the charges need to be dropped immediately. It is clear to us that these attacks seek to jail the leaders of Uhuru for speaking out against the US-NATO war in Ukraine and against a new war against Russia. Saying no to war, in our view, is not a crime. These indictments, this attack on our movements, are the real crime, and an attack against one is an attack against all. I speak also as a member of the Tampa Five, students and workers who protested Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' racist anti-education bills and are now charged with 8 felonies, facing 10 years in prison each. We know firsthand the importance of solidarity and the need to defend our movements and our right to protest. We fight with you against our shared enemy, and we call on all others to do the same. And we say, hands off Uhuru and drop the charges now. Thank you for having us on this call.
Uhuru, Chris Lee, thank you so much for that statement, and drop the charges on the Tampa Five. We're going to take this down, and we're going to be behind every struggle that we can to defend the right to freedom of speech and freedom to live. So thank you, comrades, so much for being here on today, and we hope you can stay with us for the rest of this part of the program. And I want to invite everybody to go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. Make your donation today. Yes, protesting is not a crime. That is real. And if we have to defend this, we're going to defend it in every way that we can. And we need to continue to raise the resources so that we can fight them in the courtroom. So go to handsoffuhuru.org right now. If you can't make a donation today, put in the chat that you will make a pledge. A pledge tells us that we know that we have raised this $5,000 because the people keep their promises. The people know how to stand up and to get behind the fight back. So let us know in the chat too if you want to make a pledge. And I want to thank those who are also joining us from other places as well. So Uhuru comrades, I'm looking forward and very excited to bring up Alderman, the People's Alderman, Jesse Todd of St. Louis, Missouri, a really strong and forceful comrade who I want to just continue to salute, and who led the Sanctuary City of Refuge campaign that was under the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense campaign. So Alderman Jesse Todd, I see you on now. So please go ahead and let the people hear you. Uhuru.
Uhuru, hands off Africa.
Yes.
I have had the honor working with Chairman O'Malley Yeshitela, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and Chairman Jesse Neville. All three are people of integrity and principles. Each one has worked to make this country a better place to live and live up to its ideals. I am 100% in solidarity with the three people who are facing these bogus charges. I support their rights given by the United States Constitution for the freedom to gather peaceable together, freedom to petition, and the freedom of speech. Also, Jesse Neville, Penny Hess, and Chairman O'Malley Yeshitela have been working most of their adult lives to try to get the United States government to enforce the constitutional rights of African people. I am demanding that the government drop the bogus charges against the Uhuru 3, Uhuru. Thank you very much.
Uhuru, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3, reparations now. Thank you, Alderman Jesse Todd. Just want to appreciate you so much for being here and for your righteous stance, fighting, very serious battles on the ground in St. Louis, Missouri, which if you have not been to St. Louis, Missouri, you need to go. You need to go to the north side, and you will see Alderman Jesse Todd and all the others who are, continued behind this fight back. So thank you for being here, comrade. Really want to appreciate you. And lifetime member of Repeater. We always gotta throw that out there. Uhuru. Uhuru, Alderman Jesse, thank you so much. And I'm very excited to bring up somebody who I met on the ground when Hands Off Uhuru was in Los Angeles. I want to appreciate Mark Friedman, who is a co-founder and political support for the U.S. Hands Off Cuba Committee. Mark, I'm so happy to have you here. We just came back from a trip to Cuba, which we will talk about in the future. But I just want to salute you for the work that you have done to help continue to put the fight back against the FBI, against state attacks in front of the people, whether they're happening here within this body of the United States of America or abroad. And just really want to salute your political leadership in the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa, Hands Off Cuba delegation that was just led by a force of young, ambitious, and powerful comrades who we will hear from in the future. So Mark, thank you for being here. And thank you for coming while you're driving. Uhuru.
This is Penny. I'm sorry, I just wanted to be really quick. Attorney Goodman has to go, so he was wanting to come to the section, maybe right after Mark. Sorry to interrupt.
Perfect. No, that's perfect. He can go right after. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Penny.
So thank you. We're honored to have you as part. Am I on?
Yes, you're on. We can hear you, Mark.
Thank you. We were honored to have you as part of the LA Labor and Youth Delegation of activists that just returned from Cuba. And for all the listeners, I just want to tell you what an amazing job Emwezi did at every possible opportunity, joining with others in the delegation to talk about the victimization of the African People's Socialist Party. So whether that was meetings of the small producers and tobacco workers, to meetings of Latin American unions, meeting of 12 different countries, unions who were there to solidarize with Cuba to end the blockade, speaking to 300 people from the entire US delegation that was there. And then finally, an opportunity to spread the word at the International Solidarity Conference of 1,700 people with people from 50 countries. I think, and I just want to speak for a second to all who are listening. This is a very important case. It's like the COINTELPRO operation, which those of us in past generations know about. However, the majority of young people today have had no experience with defense cases, no experience with COINTELPRO, no experience with harassment by the FBI coming to their door, or the suffering of members of our and other delegations upon returning from Cuba to be held.
Oh, I know Mark's out on the road right now. And there's a little delay with your sound, but I just want to appreciate where you were going with that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll end now. Just of all of us, regardless of political differences, to join together in this defense effort. And when actions are called, street protests, we must mobilize everybody for them. Because this is the opportunity to win. We will fight to win, and in the process, educate the next generation of fighters. Thank you.
Uhuru, Mark, thank you so much for that statement. And yeah, just really want to salute you and look forward to summing up the whole trip and the work and your call to action. So powerful statement. And thank you for joining us while you're on the road, and look forward to seeing you again. And hands off Cuba, hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa. And, we will win. So right on, comrade. Thank you so much. Attorney Goodman, I'm sorry, I just wanted to appreciate you for staying on, because I know your time, you were supposed to be here for a certain time, we're a little over. So I want to give you the floor and just salute you representing the legal defense for this fight back. Just want to always appreciate your contributions to this space and for the people to see who was going to, bring it to them in the courtroom. So thank you, comrade. Uhuru.
Thank you. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to address your supporters. And I just want to say I am honored to represent Penny Hess in this case. Trial lawyers are trained to fight in a courtroom, not at press conferences. But I do want to add that I do believe strongly in the First Amendment and the right for free speech and dissent. And that's the reason why I took this case. We all have a right to speak against war and against injustice. And even if those views might sometimes align with the views of another nation, including Russia, and as others have expressed on this call, we have a right to oppose our government sending $100 billion of our resources to fuel a proxy war in Ukraine. And, we have a right to speak out, and the chairman has a right, and the African people have a right. And that's why we're going to win this case. And that's why it's an important case. And so speaking for myself, I know some of the other trial lawyers couldn't be here, but I know we all are going to do everything in our power to get an acquittal for the three defendants, the chairman, Penny, and Jesse Neville. Thank you very much for having me.
Right on. Uhuru, Attorney Goodman, and yes, we thank you for being here, and I appreciate your, sharing about why you took this case. And, we have a right to the First Amendment rights and the freedom of speech. And I think that says it all. And we are going to win. So thank you again for being here. Wow. I just want to take a moment to just appreciate everybody who's been on this call. I think this is just a really powerful stance that we are hearing. And I want to turn it over to our last statement before we go into our next section of the program. And this is somebody who you've known before, Charles Barron, who is a councilman in East New York. We want to appreciate you for being on as well. And after Charles speaks, we're going to ask everybody to come on camera, and we're just going to say, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3 to just tie it up. But Assemblyman, Councilman Charles Barron, thank you for being here. And Uhuru.
Well, thank you very much, Uhuru, to my comrades. In New York City, we quite used to the COINTEL operation of the FBI. We went through it with Malcolm X. By the way, May 19th is Malcolm X's birthday. And we are all excited about shutting down Harlem, shutting down 125th Street. And we're definitely going to mention the Hands Off Uhuru movement. But Malcolm X was also followed by the FBI. Martin Luther King, no matter whether you're the king of self-defense or the prince of nonviolence, the FBI still comes after you. Any utterance against a capitalist system is going to be that kind of thing. We in New York now, and the young man nearly was choked to death by a Marine. And you know who got arrested first? The protesters, before they even arrested him. He went in and they let him go, and now they're indicting him for second-degree manslaughter. And he didn't do the perp walk with all of the cameras and all of that in his face like they do people who do lesser charges than him. So this attack on the Uhuru movement, I hate to say it, but there's some good that's going to come out of this, because more people are going to wake up, more money is going to be raised, we're going to win in the courts, and we're going to win in the streets. So to my friend and comrade in struggle, Omali Yeshitela, and owner, on behalf of Inez Barron and myself and the Operation Power movement in New York City, and we are going to get in touch with you, Penny. Omawale Clay will call you so we can get our resolution going in New York City the way my comrade Jesse did, and as an alderman. And we're going to put that forth in New York City to say that this nation under Biden, not Trump, Biden, has an FBI that is similar to the same ones under every president of the United States. Uhuru, we will win.
We are winning. We will win. Yes. Uhuru, Councilman Charles, I just want to appreciate you just giving us even some historical, points about where we are, because, it's also, and I want to thank Lisa for bringing this to my attention, the 38th year anniversary of the MOVE bombing. And, during this time, right, the mayor, who was a Black Democrat, charged for this, bombing to happen. And you can count on the Uhuru movement, who was there, the African People's Socialist Party, who you can find it in the Burning Spear newspaper. It says reinforcements are on the way, and sent, the people on the ground. And you can find this in the Uhuru furniture, which is there proudly in North Philadelphia. If you probably not North, in Philadelphia, if you haven't been there, go to the Uhuru furniture and check out some of the institutions that are there with the people contending against the attack on the right for self-determination and self-determination programs. So Councilman Charles Barron and everybody who joined us for this section, I just want to really appreciate y'all for being here. Please keep us in touch with your various struggles so that we can continue to wage this fight back and give them the run for their lives. So I want us, if you can, unmute. We're going to just do some chants. We just want to say charges, drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. And those of you who are also there, please, do it in your home. So hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa, and drop the charges on the Uhuru 3. Hands off Uhuru.
Hands off Uhuru. Hands off Africa.
Hey,
South
Africa.
Africa.
Drop the charges.
Drop the charges.
Hands off the Uhuru 3, yes.
Hands off the Uhuru 3.
Yes, Uhuru, we will win. Well, thank you, comrades, so much. And we just got a peek of Sister Lisa Davis, and you know we're up next, comrades. So I want to appreciate you for coming in with such fire, as you always do. And because I want to just open up this section by thanking those who are, who have donated so far and who continue to donate and who are making pledges to let us know how much left we have to raise. We have a total of, we have about $3,400 left to raise. So I'm not good with the math. That can say if 10 people donate this much, this is what we can get. But I know that if, 50 people donate $50, that's got to get us somewhere. So I just want to say that and put that out there. And if somebody right now, let me just make a call, wants to go ahead and just raise the rest of that money right now, please do not let it stop you, because we have seen us make those types of statements as well. But now this is the part of the program where you are going to get to see how you can participate. Those of you who are still here with us, people have been asking when they meet us in the streets or they learn about the campaign is, what can I do? And what each of us can do right now is to take concrete action against these outrageous indictments, right? On Chairman Amalia Shatella, on Penny Hess, and on Jesse Neville. We understand that there's one thing that you can do that is very simple, but it only takes just a matter of minutes. That is that you can make a profound contribution by donating for the party's ability to carry out this strategy and the Hands Off Uhuru's ability to make it happen. So yes, you can donate. Thank you so much. You can go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate and you can make a contribution today. To the legal defense. So you heard from our attorney, Leonard Goodman, and Leonard, we want to appreciate our attorneys for making this happen. So again, thank you. Go to handsoffuhuru.org. And I want to take a moment to just introduce Lisa Davis, comrade, who is joining me in talking about why this is so important. And our commitment today is, Lisa, our commitment was to raise $5,000. And, we know we can do this towards the Uhuru Legal Fund. And we are almost halfway, we're over halfway towards our goals. So I want to just say that. So I don't know about—
It's in the bag. It's in the bag. We got it.
Okay, we can make it. Exactly. Yes. So we are getting closer to meeting our goal, right? Which is like phase 1 of our goal, to our funding campaign, to raise $277,500 for our legal fees. But we are only about $57,000 away that we have left to raise, which is at $219,000, y'all. So today we want to bring the total funds raised so far above $225,000. That's our goal right now. And I know we can do this, but let's not stop there. If there are, like I said, 1 or 2 people today who want to just slice this in half and just, get this out of the way, go ahead and make that happen right now. You can go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. So Lisa, so glad you're here, comrade. Let's go ahead and tell the people why they are donating. Where's our money going to, and why we got to continue this fight back.
Oh, yes. As everybody knows, it is so critical that we have a strong legal team, and a strong legal team has been assembled with Chairman Amalia Shatella, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville, and they are prepared to go forward, fight back, and win. We're going to put the state on trial, but our ability to succeed ultimately rests in the people and what you can do to step up, and get involved and donate and help to raise money. Because as we know, one of the things they aim to do is to break us financially and hit us in every way they can. So we got to show them they cannot do that.
Yes, right on. And first, we want to and we want to show them who's behind that call to not let this happen in, behind closed doors or happen in plain sight, is all of our donors. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible supporters, Comrade Lisa, who have contributed to this urgent fund up to this point. Again, hundreds of people have already donated, and many of you are at this meeting today So again, I want to thank you and I want to salute you. And we want to salute everybody who has donated anywhere from literally $1 to some $70,000. So thank you, everybody. We have many anonymous donations. So I'm going to go through these very quickly, but I want to thank Aaron for your $10 donation, Adam for your $25 donation, Aisha for your $20 donation. Amrit for your $10 donation, an anonymous donation, and many anonymous of 10, of 25 dollars, $10, $50, $300, $500 of anonymous donations, $5 donations. That's what I'm talking about. You know, anything, any little bit that we can give. So, and a $1 donation, that's what I'm talking about. Comrades, every little bit counts, and we have to continue to just give what we can and continue to be where we can to let other people know they have to give back so that we can make this fight back happen. So I also want to thank Barbara for her $100 donation, and Betty as well for your $20 donation, Barry for a $20 donation, Bobby, your $5, Brendan, and Bree for your $5 donations, and as well as Cara and Carla and Kane and Crystal, Chuck. There are so many to name, and I'm probably not going to get through all of these, so I'm going to stop and just thank everybody for the sake of time. But there's a lot. Every donation makes a difference, right?
Can I read off a few names that I have?
Yes, please.
Jaleel 50, John 32, Leah 250, Union Del Barrio 1,000. I think it was in Cara and Pete and Nancy 20, MQ 40, Ann 50, Jackson 10, Kim 5. And we know that more are coming, and we appreciate everyone.
Yes, thank you, comrades. So you know what? That takes us to our new total of $1,632 towards our $5,000 goal for today. So thank you, everybody, for helping us get there. Lisa, I just want to appreciate you so much for being here, because again, the support is pouring in. You know, since the indictments were announced on April 18th, there was over $30,000 of donations that came in towards the campaign. And you know, we want the people to know these, know this, because you are giving this support, and you have to know that this is getting somewhere and that we will win. Over 260 people have donated. We have, appreciate every single person who has. Those who gave $1,000 or more, $5, $10, $20, $100. Again, every dollar counts, and anything that you can contribute is going to make a difference. So please don't underestimate your significance in this campaign. Whatever you can, go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. And I see a $10 donation in the chat from Belinda Parker. I just want to acknowledge you, Sister Belinda Parker Brown. If that is you, Uhuru. And on the screen, now there are some names that we're going to pull up of everybody who has donated in the past few weeks since our last webinar on April 22nd, following the announcement of the indictments. And that's actually, thank you, Carmen. I know you're going back to that one. So thank you so much. So we have these names up here. We want to appreciate you for your donations during that period since the attacks, because you matter, and everybody wants to just give you the appreciation. So Lisa, every donation, why is this important? What does this mean?
Oh yes, donating to the Hands Off the Uhuru campaign, or donate to the Hands Off Uhuru campaign by going to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. It is much more than just a donation. It is an act of resistance. Now is the time for us to stand up. The Uhuru movement will win. And when that happens, it will change the world. All of us who stand with the right of African people to fight for our freedom, and going to rise up and fight back. And that's what you're doing when you donate. That is so important. Your donation is a demand that African people have the right to free speech. As Chairman Omali Yeshitela has said, my crime is my absolute belief in free speech. This is a direct quote from him. Free speech has to be afforded to Black people. If it is not afforded to us, there can be no free speech for anybody. The assault on free speech and basic democratic principles is one that's always made against someone or some group that is assumed to be unpopular. Chairman Omali Yeshitela. So when you're donating, you're saying hands off Uhuru, meaning hands off freedom of speech. Not every one of us can be at every meeting or march or in the streets at every demonstration, but we can all donate. So please go to handsoffufuru.org/donate. And when you donate, your money is marching for you. When you donate, you are moving us closer to victory. This is the people's movement. And as Sister Betty said, a powerful quote, trouble the water, if that's all you can do. And I just purchased 2 shirts at $50. So I count that as a donation. But so you can also, there's merchandise that you can also purchase as well.
Exactly. Right on, Sister Lisa. And we have a slide to show you if it's up there. And if not, that's no problem. You'll see it in the announcements on when you can, what kind of merchandise that you can get for the campaign as well. Because I think I need a new shirt pretty soon here. I've been wearing this one out.
I got 2, red and black, short sleeve for the summer.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's right. It is summer.
Yes.
So yeah, it is time to, go ahead and update your Hands Off Uhuru gear because,
yes,
because we're in this for the long haul. So thank you so much, comrade. And again, I want to thank those of you who are donated. There we go. Thank you so much. So you can see it right there. Go to handsoffuhuru.org/shop. Or you can click the shop button on our menu on our website and go ahead and update your Hands Off Uhuru gear. And that does count as a donation. I'm glad you said that because all of this goes towards funding this fight back. So, and don't forget that our fiscal sponsor is a 100% tax deductible donation through Open Collective Foundation as well. So what I want to call on the people to do before we close out this section is to consider making a pledge. Right now, if you think that, look, I cannot give money because my money is looking funny today and it's probably going to look funny tomorrow, but I know a month from now, I can pledge in this webinar right now to get us to our goal of $5,000. I can make a pledge of $200, $1,000 and get people together and find this many people to make a donation for this campaign. If that is you, put it in the chat right now that, look, I will make a pledge. And I right now, me and Mwezi Odom, I'm going to make a pledge to raise $500 for the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign. So you could put me down. I can't put that in the chat right now, but I make a $500 pledge to win those resources and to get that back to the campaign as well. So that is my contribution. And I want to thank you, comrades, as well.
And also Sister Belinda Parker Brown, she just sent me a text, a minor correction, it's a $100 donation. So. Right on. And thank you, we got that. And all of these donations really matter because when the people who don't have all these extra resources, when we give, that is a powerful statement that is amplified over 1,000 times because then they know how committed that people are and we're not playing around. And they almost even try to emulate that by saying, oh, well, the Democratic Party, we got a whole bunch of little small donations from, the little people, and they're not about us at all. So your donations mean so much to us, and we don't take them for granted because we know it's hard out there. But when we make the determination for freedom, we will win.
Yes, right on, Sister Lisa. And I want to just appreciate those who heard the call. I want to thank Lisa for your $20 donation, Cam for your $100, Julie for your $20 donation. Didier, I hope I said your name right, $30 donation. That took us to a new total of $3,000 raised. Oh, sorry, $3,000 left to go. We are at $1,927 raised. I want to salute y'all. And I see some pledges that are being put in the chat to let us know that this is when I can get it in as well. I want to thank Chimarenga for your $25 pledge, Sayero for your $50 pledge. Thank you so much, comrades. This is the kind of thing that we can do. We will make this happen. So
and Lance pledged 100. Lance Hotchkiss, I think, $100.
Uhuru Lance, Uhuru. Thank you, Lisa. There's a lot going on, so we're trying to make sure that we announce everything. But if we don't, you will be acknowledged. Please believe that. So today's event, as we close this out, is in response, as we know, to the bogus charges and the demands to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3. This movement, came under attack, fighting for freedom of speech, fighting for the right to be able to say what we know is happening, which is the truth. And it is just another tool, as we understand, of COINTELPRO, the counterinsurgency, to crush the struggle of African people to organize and to create a new world, which involves no suffering, right? And so your presence today today, and your support is showing us that you want to be a part of that world, that you know it's possible to have a world without oppression and war and terror and genocide and suffering. And if that's why you here, if that's why you are here today, we want to thank you, because this world is possible. And you've heard the statements of many organizations and people, and you in the chat, and you who are listening, to making the call to action that this system, which is willing to do the most horrible and unspeakable things to try to stop the fight for freedom, is going to have to contend with people who are fighting to win the freedom. And here they are trying to assassinate and imprison and assassinate our leaders. So let's give this an even greater weight and urgency to the task that we have today, to tell the U.S. government to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3. They want to lock Chairman up for 10 to 15 years. They want to make him literally a political prisoner who will die behind bars. And I mean, we can't let that happen.
May I just throw this in real quickly? Yes. Carolyn Bryant, that living carcass, recently died. She was the one who had Emmett Till murdered. The Department of Justice, whether Democrat or Republican, could never find any reason to prosecute any of the ones who killed her. And just recently, in 2021, the Biden administration, ironically, the Trump administration, under his Department of Justice, reopened the case in, I don't know, 2017. But the Biden administration, the one who says he loves Black people, closed the case. But look who they are instead going after: Amalia Shatella, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville. I think, we got to really make note of that as well. She lived her life completely free from any repercussions and protected by the government.
Yes, that's real. And I appreciate you for raising that in the context of today and in the context of what we are talking about. And, again, it's just another last ditch effort to try to stop this revolution, which they have been unable to stop for more than, 60 years. And I appreciate you mentioning the Solidarity Committee as well, because this is a fight that they're going to have to fight within their own population. And so it's going to come from all angles. And again, I just want to say that, we understand that this is, as Lisa has said, making political prisoners in slow motion, these indictments, this case, and all of this to try to drain the people. But we will not be we will not retreat. We will not be, scared, or, we are strong in numbers, and we're going to win this. So by funding for this fight for a victory for the African People's Socialist Party, we are saying that our leaders and that the leaders of the liberation struggles of, the people did not die for nothing. They did not struggle for nothing. And that the legacy and struggle for leadership of African leaders like Lumumba, like Malcolm X, like Marcus Garvey will be vindicated and will be upheld. So that's why we say hands off Uhuru. That's why we say hands off Africa. And that's why we say hands off freedom of speech, hands off the Uhuru 3. So Sister Lisa, thank you so much for being here. I lost you on my screen, but I want to salute you, comrade, for being here with us on this call, and your relentless struggle in the through the leadership of the Black is Back Coalition, which is an organization of 18 plus or other organizations which are bringing it, on an anti-imperialist united front. So Uhuru, Sister Vice Chair Lisa Davis. All right, Uhuru comrades. So right now, I want to thank everybody, just give you a quick update goal on our fundraising. We are at $2,000. So we have made it over the $2,000 marks. I want to appreciate everybody so much for your pledges in the chat as well, which I'll continue to get an update on. But just want to say thank you. Right on. Thank you, comrades, so much. So I want to move on as we begin to hear from a few more. We're going to hear from Vice Chair, we're going to hear from Penny Hess, one of the Uhuru 3, the chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee. And I want to appreciate you, Penny, because you and I are going to stay on and give the people an announcement about what is coming up next, which is very important call to action that we are asking literally the entire world to participate in. So you heard from our lawyers, you heard from our supporters, but there is still more to come. So before we go into that section, I want to just appreciate Penny and invite you up to, talk to the people as one of the Uhuru 3.
Uhuru is it's not letting me start my video, but okay, thank you.
Okay, there we go. Okay, now I see you.
Uhuru, Chairman Wazy, and Lisa Davis. I just really want to say that I'm tremendously honored to be on this program today. And I want to really unite with what Lisa Davis, Comrade Lisa Davis, raised, that this is the 38th anniversary of the notorious, the vicious bombing of the Move House in Philadelphia, in which 11 African men, women, and children were murdered. And those who survived, just as the previous brutal attack on Move by the state in 1978, had to spend decades in prison. Those attacked had to spend decades in prison. And that is the system we live under. And I just really want to salute Pam Africa, who's a powerful, just a fierce leader, Mike Africa, Ramona Africa, Mumia Abu-Jamal, and just that we must never forget what this colonial system has done to the Move family and what that represents in terms of this colonial mode of production that Chairman Omali Yeshitela talks about. And I want to salute all the supporters who gave a shout out today, gave a talk today, and Attorney Leonard Goodman. It's truly an honor to be here in the company of all of those who are working every day to change this world and to make it a place where African people and other oppressed peoples and every living being can live in peace, dignity, and self-determination with the full expression of their democratic and civil rights. And of course, I salute my leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela and Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshitela of the African People's Socialist Party, the party itself, just the dynamic, fierce process and fight that the chairman has made and the African People's Socialist Party has made for over 50 years to complete the African Revolution of the 1960s, to make sure that every African everywhere forcibly dispersed on this planet will have the unification and liberation of Africa, which is still being colonized and looted, and will have power over their lives and the return of their stolen labor and reparations. And my name is Penny Hess, and I have the honor of being the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee, the organization of white people organized under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party and Chairman Omali Yeshitela. And our assignment is to go into the white community to organize other white people like ourselves to raise reparations for African people. And that's what we do. That's what we do. I am one of the Uhuru 3, part of the vicious colonial attack that is targeting Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the Uhuru movement, the African Liberation Movement, which works relentlessly, again, for the liberation of Africa and all African people everywhere, every single day. This is what Chairman Omali Yeshitela has done. My house that I share with Kitty Riley was also raided on July 29th, the same day that the home of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and Deputy Chair Onizane were raided brutally by the FBI, with assault weapons being trained on the chest of Chairman Omali Yeshitela as he came down the stairs. And that was the same day that the Uhuru House in St. Petersburg, Florida was raided, the home of Akile Anai, as well as Jesse Neville, Amanda Carlozzi, and the Uhuru Solidarity Center, which is a building owned by the African People's Socialist Party, which is on the South Side, which is where we organize out of, thanks to, just this institution that was created by and is part of the Black Power Blueprint on the South Side, and it has a banner all the way across the front that says unity through reparations. And that's why it was attacked, because it is under the leadership of the African Revolution. And it was an attempt to intimidate white support, but they have not been able to do that. And the state is giving us, as everybody knows, we were indicted on April 18th. We have been to court, to the arraignment in Tampa. The state is giving us charges that we quote conspired against the United States, and is making up charges that we acted as agents of a foreign government, which, as has been said, and which Chairman Omali Yeshitela has so eloquently stated, is racist and false, since clearly no Russian person or any person can tell an African person who is on the hot seat of the colonial violence of the system every single day what the conditions are that they face. And the real criminal is the system, the colonial mode of production that the chairman has really defined, that is built on the kidnapping of African people, the stealing of their resources and labor, and the stealing of their freedom for 600 years. This is the basis for the wealth of this whole system and the prosperity of the white population. Where do we think that it comes from? It comes from stolen labor, stolen resources of African people, the stolen land of the indigenous people, and from the resources of colonized peoples around the world. And we also know that the white community has a long history of complicity with the violence against African men, women, and children, in the lynchings, the terror, and the theft. And that we see every day the poverty, the homelessness, the mass imprisonment, the police violence. We see African mothers, in the mortality of African mothers, the infant mortality, as had been talked about. We see the banks making billions of dollars at the expense of the people, the Pentagon making billions of dollars in wars and suffering here around the world. And Chairman Omali Yeshitela is under indictment. This is outrageous and absolutely absurd for all of us that know, and understand and clearly can expose the system that we live under, this parasitic system. And yet, as has been said, this is coming from, and what we understand, directly from the White House of Biden, the current US president, the imperialist president, Biden, the Democrat, who had already worked on, was the author of the crime bill, which was there in the 1990s. We had 100,000 new police on the streets of the United States in African communities, resulting in the mass police violence and police terror against African people, and the mass imprisonment that this created. Yet Chairman Omali Yeshitela has spent his whole life fighting for good, for justice, for self-determination, for reparations, for political power in the hands of the African working class, and he is criminalized. How could there be anything more blatant of what this system is, that it would criminalize those that are the victims of this system? And I fight for reparations in the white community. We are tasked with telling other white people the truth about our history and showing that we have a way to rectify this past under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. I fight for Chairman Omali Yeshitela's right to freedom of speech, his right to fight for the upliftment and empowerment of African people. And I fight for my right to stand under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela to win other white people to why the stand of reparations is a positive stand. It is in our interest, and that we can take on this question of colonialism, that this whole system that gives a tiny minority of the planet life at the expense of the colonized. This is the way the African People's Socialist Party is fighting for a new world, a world without war, without human suffering, as has been said. And we are not intimidated. The Uhuru Solidarity Movement has members in 140 cities. It is growing. And we remember that in the 1950s, when there was repression during what was called the McCarthy era, it was the struggle of Rosa Parks and African people and children going up against the fire hoses for their right to free speech, for their right to be able to vote, that pushed back this repression and opened the door to a powerful movement of the 1960s. So I am saluting Chairman O'Malley Shatella's brilliant leadership in winning. We are winning. I am totally confident. I know that there is profound support for the chairman, for this movement, for the right to free speech for African people, and therefore for everyone on this planet, and certainly in this country that is supposedly guaranteed by the First Amendment. We have brilliant and committed lawyers. We have ever-growing support. We are winning. We are confident. The party will win. Push back these attacks. Hands off Uhuru. Drop the charges. Reparations now. Hands off Africa. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Wow. Thank you, Comrade Penny Hess. Just really want to salute you, and just you reminded me that we were going to make some t-shirts that said I am a co-conspirator, because you know it's important that everybody strive to become a co-conspirator during this period, because chances are you already are, because you understand that what is happening in this world is not right, and you have been speaking out, and you have had to face attacks as well. So get behind this campaign. Get behind the call for hands off Uhuru, which means freedom, hands off Africa. And I want to salute you and appreciate you for being an example of what it looks like to rectify this relationship that that North Americans, white people, the oppressor nation can have with the oppressed peoples of the world. And that is what we are fighting for, a world with no oppression. And it is possible, and we've seen it. And we see it in the fight for reparations, which is another reason why getting behind the African People's Socialist Party is important, because they are taking it there and they will win it, and we will win. So I just want to thank you, Penny. You will be coming back on again, I know, because we have an announcement to make, which I'm very excited about. And I do want to just welcome up our Legal Defense Support Committee. So we're going to hear quickly from the chairperson of the Legal Defense Support Committee of the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Defense Campaign. And I want to preface this section by saying that you too can join one of the different and many committees that are a part of this campaign. So while we wait for Chimarenga to come on screen, and if there's any issues, just let me know, comrades, also. But that if you have not gone to our website, you can go to handsoffuhuru.org/volunteer. Many of you have, and if you have not been reached back to, we are making some new rounds of getting people back in the loop for an upcoming orientation this month, so that you can get placed on one of these committees. But if you want to volunteer, please do that, handsoffuhuru.org/volunteer, and our chat moderators will put that in the chat for you. We are getting close to our donation goal as well. I want to give a quick update. We are at $2,267. So that leaves, we are over halfway of our goal in the amount of pledges and donations. I want to salute you all as well. So is Chimarenga on right now? And if
yes.
not, okay, I see you. Let me start your camera. It doesn't always, can you start your camera?
No, I tried to, and it said
okay,
the host was
There you go. I just prompted you, but either way, I see you, comrade, and I want to appreciate you. There you go, for coming on. Yeah. And Leonard was going to be in this section. You heard from him earlier, but just talk to us about the Legal Defense Support Committee. And thank you so much. Chair Chimarenga.
Okay, I'll try to be brief, but I think it's an important part of the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign. The Legal Defense Support Committee is the one that does the legal research, all kinds of research, and also we do Freedom of Information Act requests. So we're very active in trying to get that information from the government about what we thought was going to be 4 people indicted and end up being 3, but we we did request that fourth person Freedom of Information Act on them too. And so far we have gotten two of our requests, the one for Jesse Neville and the one for Eritha Kile Kenyon has both been denied. We are still waiting on the information for Penny Hess and Chairman Omali Shatella, and we kind of expect those to be denied as well. So saying that I do want to appreciate all the people who have signed up for the Hands Off Uhuru support committee, really supporting the privileged team of lawyers who are defending the people who were indicted. People like Zoe Hauser, who is the secretary, Namdi Johnson, attorney Ryan Napoli, Modi Casanova, attorney Julie Chevalkar, attorney Colin Perot, Preston Cole, and Levi Edmondson. And I hope I didn't miss anybody, but all those people have either attended a meeting or signed up to be part of the committee, and we really appreciate their interest in the committee, and some people have been very active. So really want to appreciate that. And I did want to appreciate the efforts of Colin Perot, who is the leader of our Freedom of Information Act subcommittee. He kind of coordinated the attempts to get these Freedom of Information Act requests completed. And he did a brief, I won't read it word for word, but he did do a brief report. And I just mentioned that we did do 4 requests. 2 of them have been denied already. And we did ask specifically for the FBI to release any portions of the files that were not covered by their ongoing investigations. And clearly they have denied 2 of those requests already. We do expect the request for Chairman Omali Shatella and Penny Hess to be denied as well. But we don't want to just sit back on our laurels. What we want to do is just what Chairman Wasey was saying. Please come on board. Go to Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa website. Join one of these subcommittees. Join the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Support Committee. We need attorneys. We need people who are paralegals, or if you have no legal experience at all, if you're interested in that kind of research work, interested in the kind of work to get Freedom of Information Act information, we need you on that committee. So again, I want to express my appreciation to Chairman Omali Shatella, for he spent more than 50 years fighting for the liberation of the African people, and his free speech is the kind of speech that speaks out against the oppression of African people, the murders of African people every day by this U.S. colonial state, the hunger of African people, the attacks on Africa being looted every day. That's the free speech that Chairman Omali Shatella has been practicing, and that's what he's fighting for. And if you believe in that, please join the committee. Go to Hands Off Uhuru, be a part of this committee, and please donate. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Right on. Thank you, Comrade Chimarenga, and just want to appreciate you for that overview. And we hope to hear more from the Legal Defense Support Committee soon, and to hear about the new volunteers that are joining. And if you're a law student, you want to get some summer hours and internship hours, this is the campaign, or this is the committee that you want to be a part of as well. So we can help make that happen as well. I just wanted to make that call. So thank you so much for that, and salute to Colin for that report on the Freedom of Information Acts as well. So comrades, we want to thank you. We are coming down to the last moments of today's webinar, and just want to tell everybody that this was the moment that we want to thank you for staying on for, because we're going to talk about a really important action. And while Comrade Penny is going to come up and lead this section with me, but I just want to thank everybody who was here on today's call. Heinrich Booker, Ralph and Betty Davis, Sheila Hamanaka, Caleb, John, Chris Lee, Jesse, Todd, Mark Friedman, Charles Barron. Thank you all for your statements. And Penny, let's tell them what we can expect and why we are making everybody wait to hear about this news that has to happen. Uhuru.
Yes, wow, what a great program today. I know we're running a little bit over, but we have to just culminate in the International Day of Action. So let's talk about it. Let's tell people about it.
Yes, so on May 27th, if you go to handsoffuhuru.org/action, this will be put in the chat. We want everybody to understand that we are going to be holding across the globe, an International Day of Action that will be demanding to drop the charges on the Uhuru 3. On this site, if you go to handsoffuhuru.org/action, and there's also just a tab there. If you go to the main site, you'll see it. We have placards, materials, and other different materials for you to download to be able to use for this mobilization. It's important to understand too that this also marks on May 27th, around this period of time, the founding of the African People's Socialist Party, which was May 25th, 1972. And May 27th also highlights African Liberation Day, which is celebrated around the world by African people globally to mark the importance for the independence and the struggle for independence of African people wherever we are around the world. So very significant day, and we want everybody to take a part of this global mobilization. We want you to be able to submit your events, to mobilize, to encourage other people to do this on their own. So I just wanted to give that brief overview. And, Penny, maybe we can talk to people about why it's important to take a stand on this day.
Yes, definitely. We need to do that. If we can be out there at U.S. embassies, if you're outside of the U.S. or at federal buildings inside of the United States or anywhere, if you can come out, protest, we have banners, we have placards, we have a flyer that we made here. We have everything that you need to have a day of action. And it's really important that the government look out and see this everywhere they turn. We already have one that we're going to show that's already planned for London, and one for Johannesburg, which is very, very exciting. And we want to have many throughout the United States. So yes, so we want everybody to take a stand, fight for free speech, defend the right to advocate and organize for the liberation of African people, fight for reparations. We have some talking points. We want to fight for free speech, uphold that, and say that that has to apply to African people, and everyone has the right to free speech, reparations, drop the charges. So
Yes.
let's get out there and make a commitment.
Right on. Yes. And what you're doing just with those chants, we also are going to have even more outreach material up on the sites so that you can download the chants and everything that you need. So I want to just address, because the screen is up, and thank you, Lisa, for having this up on the back end. We have an ability for you to submit your event. So you can do this on handsoffuhuru.org/action. Type that in. When you click that, you'll see a form where you'll be able to tell give us your information. And all this will go up on the website. So it is public, because we want the world to know where they can go to find you, your organization, what type of event that you're going to have. Is it a demonstration, a teach-in, or tabling, whatever it is, passing out flyers, and put that information there for the world to see. We want you to tag us on social media if you're out there taking photos while you're doing this on the ground. So we want to be able to make this as we want to be able to touch and feel each other as much as we can during this moment. So let us know where you will be on that day. So go to handsoffuhuru.org/action. On the right hand side, you'll also see on that page the outreach materials. So you can do that there, or you can go to handsoffuhuru.org/outreach and download the banner, the placard that you can have on, get your little stick that you can put this on top of. Also, we have the, larger different color banners and some half sheets that can give people information that you can print off. So very simple, black and white. Go ahead and do that now, and start thinking about what kind of protest and march and teaching that you want to do on this day. There's nothing insignificant at this point, at this moment.
Yes, and I just really want to salute Lisa Davis, who says Newark will be taking the stand on May 27th in front of the Federal Building in Newark, New Jersey. Uhuru, Lisa Davis, I knew you would be out there. You're always
Lisa is
out there
everywhere.
fighting. I really appreciate that. But look, calling on other people to put it in the chat so we could know right now, as well as upload it or upload your own event onto our website so everybody can see how many events we're going to be having all around the world on May 27th. Drop the charges, hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa, reparations now. Defend the right to free speech, Uhuru.
Right on. Thank you so much, Comrade Penny. So again, you'll find this all there. We're going to just let that out there. You see, if you have questions, come back to this to take a look at that. I do want to give a total of our fundraising goal. So again, save the chat so you know where to go. But I want to just thank everybody right now for our total raise for today is $2,317 towards our goal of raising $5,000. I want to appreciate everybody because like we said, we know we can do it and we will do it. So continue to make your pledges, continue to get the word out, send this webinar to someone else so that they can watch and that they can help give towards this as well. So salute to everybody. And we're just going to go right into announcements and close out for the day. So again, get your Uhuru swag. You can go to handsoffuhuru.org/shop. This is a place where you can buy t-shirts, sweaters, buttons as well, and other gear that you need for the campaign. As well as follow us on social media. Penny was just talking about asking people to share, share these events on your social media. So you must be following us already. So go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok and follow the campaign. If you haven't done that, or if you are going to do that, put that in the chat too. We want to be able to hold each other accountable so we can count on you to be there. Go to the website for all the news and analysis. You can see past interviews and news articles that have been covered around the campaign and help get those out as well. And again, on May 27th, if you go to the handsoffuhuru.org website or /events, you can look at our events calendar. You will see about the drop the charges. We want to remind you that is 2 weeks from now on a Saturday. So we have plenty of time to organize and to get that out around the world. So scan that QR code. If you have not, it's on the screen, or go to handsoffuhuru.org/action for the International Day of Action to drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. We also want to thank everybody or just remind everybody that this is happening internationally. So if you are in London or if you are in South Africa, you can also find, a place where you can help be a part of this in some way. So please take a screenshot or track down what the contact information is for the campaigns so that you can keep in touch with us. If you have any questions, you can call handsoffuhuru.org. You can email us, and that information will be up there on the screen as well. So I want to appreciate everybody so much. Thank you for being here. Continue to make the call for Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa. Thank you, comrade. I skipped a few slides. But I want to just, again, salute everybody and that we will win. We are winning, and let's give them a fight for their lives. Hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa. Uhuru.
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 Uhuru, hands off Africa.
Yes, Uhuru, comrade Lisa.